Happy Wednesday! Hello, we are here on our webinar just for you guys. So, hello, Lawrence.
Hello, Carlos.
It's been weird. It's been a weird week for me, actually. I'm still trying to catch up with jet lag because where were we a couple of weeks ago?
We were in India.
Oh, so hot! Humble brag hashtag. Yes, we were on our ashram trip, which was amazing. We met some amazing people. We saw an amazing place. We were hosted by an amazing guy called Kumaran Mani, who went through our homeschool, went to our summer camp, went to our altitude event, and then decided to bring us out to India, which was awesome.
Yes.
So these little things that we started turned into big things. And funnily enough, that's what we're going to be talking about.
Yes, exactly. So maybe backtrack a little bit for those of you who haven't followed what we're up to. We are the Happy Startup School. We're the co-founders of the Happy Startup School. We started ourselves about 3 years ago with the aim of really trying to bring more happiness to business and our lives, but also the lives of others too. And on this journey, we've learned a lot, but I don't think we would have learned a lot unless we started with a silly idea and then put it out there very quickly.
Silly idea, but a big vision.
Yes, exactly. And that vision's evolved over time, as has the things we do. So I think if there's one thing we've learned on this journey, it's just to start when it feels right and to get your idea out there and not to procrastinate too much. And I think that's what this session's really about, is to help you understand ways that you can get your idea out there and not procrastinate. Because I think we've seen through our homeschool and a lot of the events that we do, it's easy to come up with ideas. It's often not easy to take them forward and to actually bring them out into the world and get feedback. And sometimes not hear what you want to hear, but the things that will help feed into the thing you eventually do. So yeah, this session is really about us sharing what we've learned on this journey, both from the stuff we've done, but also helping others.
As a studio as well. So as a startup studio, we saw a lot of that procrastination and overthinking going on. We worked with a lot of entrepreneurs and startups trying to get their idea forward, and the amount of time we just spent just doing thinking and trying to sort of second guess everything that a user would do, rather than us actually, why don't we just build something and see what happens.
I think from that experience working with dozens or even hundreds of digital products, we found out that I think there was definitely a pattern of the people who put their idea out there earlier and got feedback sooner were the ones who tended to win, because they then improved what they were doing and iterated it. So there's a lesson there, I think, for everyone.
The ones who thingified their thoughts.
Exactly.
Much better at actually communicating what they wanted to do. We had a client who actually did their whole app in Keynote. And while it wasn't the most beautiful thing, we didn't think it was perfect, it really helped us understand what was going on and what were the challenges. And he definitely had a way of thingifying what he wanted to do.
Yeah, so we're now coining this term thingifying, which we kind of love and hate in equal measure.
Was it John Barnes or was it you?
No, it was John Barnes. Yeah,
John Barnes, yes. RT John Barnes on the whole thingify your thoughts thing.
Yes. But what was I going to say? Yeah, so I think that client is a good example of someone who's put their idea out there. By going through the process of creating something, they've actually learned a lot about the problems they're solving, who they're solving it for, and what they can actually deliver themselves. And so it's not just about trying to get customers, it's actually trying to understand the problem better that you're trying to solve. And that's a real learning that we've had over the last few years in terms of the important things at the beginning. And there's a great line by Mike Tyson, the poet laureate, who said, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face, which I love, because I think most startups hit that wall at some point. So better to find that out earlier than to delay it too much.
Small punches, not big knockouts.
So yeah, there's just a couple of things we wanted to talk through before we go into the sort of tips and techniques we've got for you to take your idea forward. I think one of the things, like we said, is that we are makers, essentially. My background is in design, Carlos is in technology, and we built a company based on creating a lot of products, a lot of ideas, courses, events, and that's because we've been in the habit of making stuff for other people in the past, when we ran the agency, and more recently doing it for our own community. But if you're not in the habit of doing that, you're not in the habit of releasing stuff, and you don't always have the skills at your disposal, how do you get your idea out there? And that's a challenge. So what we've tried to do today, and encourage most of the people in our community to do, is use existing tools and platforms to be able to get your idea out there. You don't have to be a programmer to launch a software product. You don't have to be a designer to get something visual out there. There's loads of amazing tools and communities out there that you can piggyback on. So that's what we're going to cover a little bit. And to get you in the mindset of starting small, we have this line.
Mindset, remember that word.
we have this line at the startup school, which is think big, start small, which we repeat often, and it's easy to say, not always easy to do. So one way to think about it is, rather than having a big bang release for your vision, the business you're trying to build, break it down into just a first test, an experiment that you can just put out in the world. And it doesn't need to be the real thing, and it certainly won't stay that way. It will evolve over time, but by getting something out there, you learn so much. So getting the mindset of starting small and experimenting versus this big bang approach, and also putting some sort of time frame on it. We found that time kills the senses. You know, if you can have a week or a 2-week deadline where you can get something out there, or even a day. Sometimes we've released stuff. We've done like hack days where we've put the first version of a website out in a day, and what that does do is just makes you really focus on what you can deliver in that time and what's really valuable. And actually, by not thinking too much, it sometimes means that you make better decisions.
Well, there's something about creativity constraints, isn't there? The more constraints you have, the more creative you end up having to be.
Yeah, and so there's another great line, which is perfection is the enemy of done, which is very true, particularly if you're making a digital product, an app or a platform, because often if you delay the launch, then it never gets done. And so, whilst we always want things to be great, there's that balance you've got to find between getting something out soon and making it good.
And there's having the perfect idea in your head. We've known a lot of people who have this particular vision that they think they want to bring to the world and it's going to have value. But there's also a lot of people who don't have that idea very clear in their head. They still want to do something, but they're not sure what to do. And because it isn't clear in their head, they don't want to move forward.
Yeah.
So what we get in that case, again, trying to make things, you kind of progress and process those thoughts better when it's something tangible and something visible.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to cover 5 ways you can do that. I actually wrote a blog post a few months ago which highlighted 11 ways, but there's also hundreds of ways that you can experiment and get ideas out there. What we're trying to show now is ways that we've seen work for us, but also that work for other people in our community.
And they're easy to do.
Easy to do, that's the main thing. You can get these done in hours or even a day. So, yeah, do you want to bring up the...
Yeah, so Lawrence, being a designer, has some lovely slides for you.
I won't go that
far. There you go.
Cool. So, yeah, like I said, we want to focus on 5 simple ways to bring your startup idea to life. And this is about just starting things. It's not necessarily the main thing. It's just a way to get ideas out into the world. So the first one is...
What are we doing here? Hosting a meetup.
Why
do we host a meetup?
So when we first started with the Happy Startup School, even though our skills were in the digital world, we really thought of how can we best share the vision of what we want to do. And we just felt the best way to do that was to start a meetup group.
There were no existing meetings that we wanted to go to either, were there?
I think that's part of the problem too. So we've been to a lot of meetups, a lot of events in London, and I've got a bit disillusioned with quite a few of them. So part of the reason this came about was actually feeling like we didn't fit in any of these events. We didn't enjoy networking, didn't enjoy hearing about everyone just focused on money rather than value. And so, yeah, we thought, actually, why don't we start our own meetup and see if anyone cares about what we're doing? And I think that's one lesson learned is really finding a few people who care about what you're doing early on.
And posting one online isn't hard, is
it? Posting a meetup.
Posting a meetup, just posting it online. That's the first stumbling block. Is that, how do you host a meetup? Is that first, just post one online?
Yeah.
And I think one of the things you might think, oh, what do I write? What do I put there? There's, you have to have a title, you have to have a description. But I think it doesn't take much effort.
No.
And also one of the things is, you'll actually, if people want to join your meetup, it's again a good indication of whether people are interested in what you're doing. Also, you've worded it right. Trying to get that, articulate your idea. It's a good practice in trying to actually communicate to other people what you're trying to do.
Exactly. And so by us just hosting a very small event where we did a talk and invited a couple of other people to speak as well, I think, was just to find out, do people care? And the great thing about Meetup is if you set up a Meetup group, you can ask people when they join the group why they joined, and that can be a mandatory question. And what that did for us was it was a great way to find out why have people signed up to the Happy Startup School? What is it about this meetup that they find interesting? And then we start to hear the same kind of things again and again. People wanted to be around like-minded people. They didn't like business as they saw it, but they liked the idea of hanging around other people who thought happiness was important too. So, this is a great way to us to do research and also to get people into a room who all felt the same, and that was quite a strong way to build a community from day one.
We had a very big assumption that we were going to lure people away from the corporate world, and we were going to fly people who are going into Canary Wharf.
Wolf of Wall Street.
And those are the people that we're going to grab, and they were going to be the people who are going to turn up to our meetings. And at the time, it wasn't so, and we've met lots of other people who we wouldn't have discovered if we didn't actually start a meetup group, really.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a community as well, an existing community that you can piggyback on. So a lot of the people that we talk about, how do I get started? Where do I find people? Using existing communities is always very handy, because you need to find these people somewhere. Yeah,
and I think one thing we've learned is that people just need an excuse to come together. So if you've got a very strong idea and a mission you're on, and particularly if it has a social purpose, then it's a great way to bring people together, because what you want to find out is, do other people feel the same way? Do they believe in the things that we think are important? If you don't feel like you've got a strong enough mission to be able to do that, then maybe you can offer to put on an event under someone else's meetup. Maybe if you're in the food sector, maybe there's a food meetup group and you can offer to run an event, or to do a talk, or to share your vision in some way. So we host meetups here in our space, but we get people within our community to share their story too. So that's a great way for them to get feedback on what they're doing, to get comfortable standing in front of other people and pitching. But also it's a way for the people who were there to all connect with each other too. So whatever the easiest way for you to get people together and get feedback from people, and then have those conversations.
It doesn't take much effort to host a meetup. There's a lot of places, bars and cafes who are really happy to host you guys if it means they get some extra business. So it's really a case of just trying something out, and if you get people joining your group online, then it gives you good signals to carry on, really.
Yeah, and there's great places like the Canvas Cafe in London, the London's first Happy Cafe, where we've hosted some events. They do some cool stuff there. There's all sorts of co-working spaces and startup hubs that have similar events that you can put on something. So just being creative, and I think that's part of, with any of these techniques, it's just about thinking, what's the simplest, easiest way for me to get in front of people? And it doesn't need to be, you don't want the meetup to turn into a 6-month planning process. You want it to be a quick way to get to.
Even if 6 people turn up, that's going to be 6 people more than you sitting in your bedroom somewhere.
Yeah, 6 people and a dog. Which, if you're borrowing my doggy, is probably a great turnout.
Cool.
Okay, so the next one.
Here we go.
And by the way, go to meetup.com and you can set up a meetup there. And if you go to meetup.com/happy startups, you'll see the kind of events that we've put on in the past. So the second one is launch a simple one-page website. Now, we've chosen the tool Typeform for this, but the premise is the same, really. Whatever tool of choice, there's tools like Squarespace and Strikingly, and obviously WordPress and some of the more traditional sort of development platforms for websites. But the key thing here is, how can you launch a very simple landing page with as little information as you need to put out, and a way for people to come on board, whether it's to sign up.
Start collecting some people's information.
Yeah, that's the key. There needs to be a call to action at the end, and that's usually someone to sign up to an email list, or to maybe buy a product if you're going to buy something, join the meetup if you've got a meetup page, whatever it might be. But some way for you to collect some data about who's landed on the page, but then also a way for you to communicate what you're trying to do.
So some people will think, what the hell are you using Typeform for to make a web page?
And what is Typeform?
And what is Typeform? Well, Typeform in itself, firstly, is really kind of a more engaging tool for collecting information, a survey tool. So people probably might have heard of SurveyMonkey. I think Typeform, and people can also use Google Forms to do this stuff, but we found Typeform is a much nicer, more beautiful and sexy tool to use, whether that's to make actual forms themselves, but also to use the forms as well. So what we found as well, one of the things that we talk about here is constraints. While Typeform isn't a website building tool like Squarespace, Weebly, Wix, and all these other things are out there, what it is it allows you to post stuff online. You don't have to register a domain name. You can have we have happystartups.typeform.com as a domain name to use. You don't need to have web skills. It's all WYSIWYG editing type of process. And you can then easily collect data information, even if it's just a case of email addresses, and you can download those as a spreadsheet to then use in another tool to send out emails, or just to paste into your own sort of Outlook or Gmail or whatever you use to send out emails. So there's not a lot of technology or knowledge about technology required, and you can do quite a lot of useful stuff. But ultimately, collect an email address, get your message out there, and also not have to register a domain.
Yeah, exactly. So there's an example here of a way we've used Typeform in the past. So we've used it to collect information, like Ola said, to launch a simple site before we've managed to get a bigger site in development. This was for us to collect information from people who were coming to our summer camp to be able to allow them to upgrade to a bell tent. So a very simple way for them to let us know who they were, actually pay through Stripe. So taking payments, which connects to our Stripe account, and then
What's Stripe?
Stripe's another webinar altogether. Stripe's basically an online payment system, a bit like PayPal, which allows you to basically take payments without having a merchant account. So yeah, it works directly into Typeform, which is great, and also if you take payments through Stripe anyway, it's a simple way to connect with that. So
within a couple of hours, you could actually be selling something online, whether it is access to your meetup group or whether it's some download that you want to sell. But in a nutshell, you don't need a lot of technical knowledge to get this started.
Yeah, and so another way we use Typeform is in a more traditional sense, which is to collect information. So it's an application process for our altitude event, which we're running again this summer. So people can go on, apply. So we ask for some details because we always oversubscribe for this event. So it's a way for us to find out more information about people. But it's branded well. We've got to know the guys at Typeform, and they really are focused on this experience of creating a great first impression of your business, because it's the starting point for a relationship with your customers. So it's not really about a big form. It's about how can you start that interaction in a really positive way. So we're big fans of it, and we know, and also given their growth, it's been proven by other people.
I've done a quick webinar on just the basics of Typeform. So if you email us, hello@happystartupschool.com, I can give you a link to one of those webinars.
Cool. Okay, where are we? Too many screens.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. So next up, so how are we doing for time? So yeah, we're going to go for another 10 minutes or so to about 1 o'clock, if that's cool, 1 o'clock GMT.
We know you guys are busy.
Yes, exactly. You're probably munching your sandwich over lunch at the moment. Okay, so number 3 is Slack. So starting a community using the tool Slack again.
What's Slack?
There are other tools available. I'm sure some of you may have heard of Slack. If you haven't, or you have and you're not exactly sure what it is, do you want to describe it?
It's essentially it's a messaging tool. It's an instant messaging tool. Back in the good old days of sort of proper geeky instant messaging, they used I think IRC is a web-based, internet-based messaging tool, and you can have different, they call them channels, but there are essentially different discussion groups that you can create very quickly on Slack. So it's a great way you can actually have live chat with people online for free by setting up a Slack group. So, well, you want to get us on the...
I just didn't know you wanted to load up Slack.
Oh, okay. So yeah, if you want to have a look at, I'll show you how we use Slack to bring our community together. So
yeah.
Where we are.
No, it's not. Yeah, you move it.
That one. There we go.
Okay.
So yeah, so we've actually used it as a way to. We were using Facebook for a while to sort of communicate with people, but we started using Slack because you can make a closed community of it, but also it's great because you can use it on desktop, you can use it on your phone, you can use it on your tablet. It's instant messaging, so you can have live conversations with people as well as follow other conversations that are going on. You have these things called channels down the left, so you can group conversations by topic. So it's a really powerful, flexible way to manage discussions. It was built mainly primarily for development teams to communicate with each other when they're in sort of different locations. But we've we've seen it used to hack communities together, really, and it's free. So it's a great way if you've run your first few meetups, you've got people together, they want to carry the conversations online, and you want to keep that momentum going, then you just start a Slack group. That's one very simple way of doing that. The other way that we've done for our events was WhatsApp. It's using these behaviors that we have, social media and kind of instant messaging behaviors, and then sort of finding the right tools to get people talking. Because ultimately what you want to do is just keep people talking, keep engaged, and keep in touch.
Yeah, there's also Facebook groups too. So Facebook groups, WhatsApp, I'll probably say lower barriers to entry because people tend to be using those tools anyway. So that could be a way to quickly get something out there because people are familiar with those. They're on them anyway. If you're on Facebook every day and you join a Facebook group, chances are you'll see the notifications. There can be a little bit of a bigger learning curve with Slack, but I think going forward it's more geared towards this kind of interaction and less distraction.
It makes it easier to do file sharing. You can do some little automated stuff. It's also a lot more flexible. You can plug in loads of other things into it that makes it more powerful. So while it's very easy to start, you have a lot of scope to develop it and make it much more tailored to your community.
And when thinking about this, was this relevant if I got an idea of, why do I need to build a community? We're just seeing more and more people now realizing that the traditional way of doing marketing is dead, really, in terms of just, I've got a product, I just want to sell it to the market, and I don't care about the interaction between people. More and more people are wanting to build communities around their idea because it gives you more resilience as a business, but it also means that you care about what you're doing and actually you want to build a relationship with your customers beyond just selling them a product. It's about the story of what you're doing too. So this is a way for you to actually start that relationship with people in a way that's safe, secure, and actually a way for not just you to connect with them, but them to connect with each other. And I think that's the powerful thing about any community is you're not, whilst you might be leading it, you're not the one that's controlling all the interactions.
Ultimately, you're building trust. And no matter what kind of business you're in, whether someone will buy anything from you or listen to you is going to be based on how much they trust you.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. So conscious of time, so we'll push on. So next up we have got number 4, which is share what you believe. So one of the exercises we get people to do on our homeschool is to create a manifesto for their business. And what that does do is get people to think about not just the product or service that they're creating, but actually the things that they believe in, the things that they think are important. So again, when we started, one of the first things we did after the meetup group was set up a page on our website, once we'd launched that, called our Happy Festo, which was our manifesto of what we thought was a better way of doing business. And we created something where people could not just see it, but also interact with it. So people could sign up and pledge their support through Facebook and Twitter, I think, and get added to our wall. So that was a bit more of an involved way of doing it, but really you can just have something that you share. And so the tool that you can use to do this is a tool called Canva, which is essentially a very simple design tool for non-designers, really, online. It allows you to create flyers and manifestos and all these kind of things. But we found people using this through our homeschool, so we thought it would be worth sharing. Here's some examples of people who've actually done it a different way, using either just the traditional pen and paper and sort of lettering, or using graphic design software like Illustrator. So on the left, we've got the Maptia Manifesto. So some of you may have known these guys. They've been around for a couple of years. They created this manifesto when they started with a way to actually spread the word about what they were doing, spread the movement of travel and the importance of travel and storytelling, because they've got a storytelling platform. So that was a great way for them to put that out there and get loads and loads of people all around the world taking a photo of this and sharing it around the world. On the right, we've got Funbase, who are a startup from our community too, and they have basically, they're looking at ways that adults can play like kids. So they've got a play zone in their space in Amsterdam where people can come in, jump in ball pits, play with Nerf guns, and generally leave their dignity at the door, being a bit silly. But it's a great idea, and this was a nice way for Kai, the founder, to share what he thought was important and how important he thought play was to adults, not just kids.
So this is an alternative way of getting your message out without feeling like you're selling. You don't want to, sometimes people just go straight into, oh, this is my product, this is my service, what do you think? Is it good, is it not good? What you're trying to do is really actually, this is the mission I'm on, this is the stuff that I believe in, One of the things that we talk about in our homeschool and our 4 Ps of the Happy Startup is purpose, passion, purpose, people, and profits. The purpose bit, trying to articulate what your purpose is, what it is that you're trying to do, makes it easier for other people to get on board and support you.
Exactly. So yeah, I think this is a great way of, I think most people find this exercise quite fun because you start to think about what's really important to me, you know, what are my values, what are the things that I believe in, and who else believes in the same things. And it's a powerful way to, you know, again, get away from just selling something to telling your story. Okay, and finally, last but not least, tell your story. We are big fans of the blogging platform Medium, medium.com, and you know, we would encourage all our people in the homeschool and in our community to share their story through Medium, because it's a very simple way to get their idea out there, to tell their story and not get focused on creating a well-designed blog and adding colors and fonts and all that kind of stuff. Medium is just a very simple, elegant and constrained tool, and the fact there's not a lot of things that you can change. What that does do is get you to focus on the writing experience. And you know, we've actually, I think we get more traffic on our Medium page than we do on our own blog, and I know a lot of other people who say the same. It's not just a great blogging platform, it's also a great
it's a community.
Well, yeah, essentially it's not just a publishing tool, it's a community. So you can get exposed to the people that are in that community, and once people start liking your content, then it's a great way to build an audience too.
And connecting to other people. I think as well as a way of publishing, it's a way of discovery, and also a way of making or having conversations. Because one of the things a lot of blogging platforms sort of sell themselves on is a way to write and share your stuff. But what you can do here on Medium is you can also reply to other people's posts. So you can actually write a post that is in reply, direct reply to someone else's post, and it's a great way of getting discovered. Particularly at the beginning, when you're trying to build this community and build this awareness. Like we said at the beginning, try and use existing communities and try and tap into the thought leaders within that community.
Exactly, and yeah, like I said, there's a big audience there. We've had a lot of people sort of follow us through our Medium publication. So Medium doesn't just allow you to post a single post, you can actually create a publication, which is essentially like a magazine almost, an online magazine where you can curate your own content, but also bring in other posts that you think fit into that theme. So we have people post on our Happy Startup School page on Medium that aren't within the team, but are maybe within the community, or even beyond if we think it's a relevant story to be shared.
We have people ask a lot, you know, what's the difference between using Medium and having your own blogging platform?
Yeah.
So, any answers?
Well, the thing is, I don't think you have to choose. I think you can post on both, you know, and we post on both. People then think, oh, you're going to be harmed with your search engine rankings, but A, I don't think that's true anymore, but also B, how many people are searching for your content on Google, you know, or how much are people discovering it through the recommendations or referrals through social media or Medium itself. So for us, most of our stuff is shared through word of mouth, and yeah, that's where our main audience is.
Well, first thing, you don't need to install anything on Medium. Second thing, it's very easy to just log in, register your site, your account, and get started writing. It's very easy to share, very easy to be discovered. And also, if you're really conscious about having your own branding in the domain name, you can, like Lauren said, create these publications, which is a curated list of articles, which could be all of yours, but also have that fixed as your domain name. So you could have your domain name pointing to a publication page on your site.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just quickly show you what publication page looks like. So yeah, this is our Happy Startup School publication, which is, okay. Yeah, so basically this is just a collection of the posts that we write. So this is one of the more recent ones we've written, which I wrote from our India trip, just summarising what we learned from that. So this page basically pulls in all the latest posts, and we can also, if we want to, override these with featured posts of our own. And here you can see where else you can find us, see the followers we've got. It also has a good metrics page as well, so you can sort of track how many people are viewing your posts, how many people actually read all of the posts as well, so that it tells you how far they scroll down on your page. And yeah, we've just found it a way to quickly get an idea out there. So I think whilst we've got a lot of content now, most people in our community what we found is they put one post out on Medium, they get people responding to it, and that gives them the kind of fuel and confidence and motivation to actually write the next post and then maybe launch a web page and, you know, start to talk to customers. But it's just a very simple way to tell your story and to get it out into the world.
It's also a nice reading experience on mobile, tablet, and laptop, as well as a writing experience. You can write on all those 3 devices, so you can start an article in your phone, finish it off on the laptop, and then maybe publish it by your iPad.
Exactly. Cool. Okay, we're conscious of time, so yeah, we're gone over our half an hour slot. Expect you've all got food to eat and meetings to get back to. But yeah, we just wanted to share a little bit about the homeschool, really, because a few of you have asked, and we've learned a lot on this journey, so we wanted to just actually put in bring up a slide because you've seen it already. Just talk you a little through the program that we offer and why we do it, really. So it's a 4-week program which we run. The next one starts in 2 weeks.
7th of March is the next one.
7th of March. And so we have a few spots left. Basically, we're looking for people at the very early stage who either have an idea or maybe have a few ideas and not quite sure which one to work on. It works particularly well for people at that stage who just need a bit of guidance, a bit of clarity.
Focus and clarity from basically 90% of the people who come onto our course find it really beneficial in terms of getting clarity. It is, whether it's clarity on the idea they have is the right idea, or there's just too many ideas they're trying to get down to the one that they want to work on.
Yeah, and I think the key thing is doing it with other people. You know, we made a conscious effort when we first launched this to have people start at the same time and work together on challenges rather than doing it on your own. And I think if there's one thing you'll find is, I'm sure if you're starting out on your own, it's an isolating place, it's a lonely place.
There's too many things to think about as well, and so we're going to make sure you don't have to think. We'll tell you what to do. Each day you'll have a challenge, we'll tell you you have something to listen to, so you can just make sure you can make progress without trying to plan it out yourself. We've done the planning, we've given you the things to think about, and it'll also be a toolkit for you to use after the course. It isn't just you do the course and it's done. You can then use that on other ideas and also hopefully develop that way of thinking and that mindset, as we said before.
Yeah, and I think all of these tools that we're sharing today and the techniques we share in homeschool are empowering, really, because I think once people discover that they can take their idea forward without having to go to someone else, then it frees you up to then explore loads of different passions and projects that you could work on. So, and the other things we've found is people have actually found collaborators and co-founders through the homeschool too. So it's a great way for people
to join the community, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's it. Homeschool is a good way to join this community, and so many people that come to homeschool have ended up coming to summer camp, our annual event, or some of our smaller retreats, or even just come out to hang out in Brighton with us and work through their idea in one of our meetups. So it's not just a 4-week course, it's a starting point for a longer term sort of relationship with everyone in the community. So
if you believe in building a business, if you believe in making a change in the world, and you want to be happy while you're doing it at the same time, join us. Come, with the homeschool is there for you to try it out in terms of understanding our ethos, but we have a much wider community that we'd love to welcome you on board, and together we'll make things better. Exactly. So yeah, if you go to the happystartupschool.com/homeschool, the early birds run out at the end of this week. So if you wanted to join, definitely get in there before the weekend, because the price hikes up after that. And yeah, like Carla said, the next one starts on March the 7th, runs for 4 weeks. And the 4 weeks are split into our 4 Ps. So passion, purpose, people and profits. The first part of the course is really geared towards looking at you and your personal strengths and passions and how you can feed those into the idea. And then the final part of the course is looking at bringing your idea out into the world and launching something. So if you have any questions, tap us up on Twitter or send us an email. But yeah, looking forward to seeing you online. Cool. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.